And finally, now that we've sorted our lives out, welcome everybody to the final tribal council here in Triumph. It has been a very long time coming, but we are here. So we are here with our final two, Courtney and Marcelo. Say hi, guys. Along with our jury. Give us a wave. Or middle fingers up from Jackson. Thank you, rude. So what is going to happen? That's rude in the UK, Jackson, letting you know. So what is going to happen, guys, is one by one, you guys are going to ask Courtney and Marcelo some questions, and you guys are going to decide who is the winner of Triumph Guyana. But first off, each of our finalists will have one opening statement that they get to make. And to first up to make their opening statements, I believe, is Courtney. Am I correct in that? No, it's Marcelo first. Marcelo, sorry, babes.
No worries.
Marcelo, you are first up.
Absolutely. All right, first I want to say thank you to the jury, the pre-jury, the VL, and Prod for watching, playing, and allow me to play in this wonderful game. I am truly so thankful to have met all of you, and I am very excited to talk about my game. My org track record starts in January of 2021 when I started in an org that was a Big Brother org, and I made so many alliances with everyone and their mother, everyone in their Walmart cashier, like everyone was a part of my alliance. So I took what I learned from that and I put it into this game. My whole thing about this game was adaptability. I wanted to adapt to this back to basics twist that Prod had given us. I knew there were going to be idols, and I knew that I'm not the best at finding an idol. So I just kind of had to go and figure out the best moves for myself. In the pre-merge in the Kalina OG tribe, I tried my best to not take any liberties of pushing anything forward, kind of just following the lead of everyone else. And we won 3 out of the 4 immunities in the first OG tribe. So I never got the chance to, if anything, go to a tribal and see if a move could be made. I always wanted to make sure that people knew I was in the game, that I always had a good morning message or something just to let people know that I am here. When we got to the new Kalina swap tribe with Sean and Jeremy and Mike, Ed, and myself and Callum, I knew that we had the majority, and I knew that there needed to be some type of way that I could get farther in the game without pissing people off. So Callum unfortunately couldn't find ping pong balls in 10 different stores in the UK. So that was a clear target for us to go after. In the regards of adaptability, when we hit the merge, I wanted to make sure that instead of being a follower in the pre-merge, I was a leader in the merge. So I tried to make sure that I knew where everything was going. I knew what was happening. I kind of had communications with basically everyone to an extent, and then getting down to the wire and getting down to the end of this game, I knew I had to sit in the driver's seat, hit that gas pedal, and go all the way to the end. So a lot of the moves I made were to benefit myself, and because I've been in situations where my kindness is used as weakness and people like to step all over me in other games. So I thought to myself, I want to change that. I want to see what happens when I take the reins, when I make sure that I can stand on my own 2 feet and get to the end of the game. So getting to the end of the game was hard. I won 3 individual immunities, and that is something that I never thought I would be able to do, but I did it. And I believe that I deserve to win this game of Triumph, because Triumph to me means starting from the beginning and making it all the way to the end and jumping through hurdles and hoops and trying your best to make sure you're the one at the top. So I'm so excited to hear all of your questions. I genuinely am an open book, so ask me anything and I will answer, and respect you all so much. And I am good with my opening speech. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you, Marcelo. Courtney, you are good to go.
Hey guys, I mean, I will definitely kind of piggyback off of Marcelo real quick and definitely say thank you to everyone because I mean, the whole point of rites of passage, for example, is just the fact that you absolutely cannot ever get to the end without the other people that played the game. And I mean, the experience isn't fun without the relationships and stuff that you made. So I appreciate everyone for both the hosts and the other players for the experience and everything that helped me get to this point. So um, I just wanted to kind of just give a quick summary of my game from my perspective, and then I'm looking forward to questions afterward. I don't want to focus a lot on the pre-merge, but I was going to start there. So on my original tribe, it was kind of a rough start for me because I just so happened to have something. I genuinely can't remember what, but I do recall that I was busy in real life during that first like couple of days, and I was kind of a slow starter to getting really on call with people. During that first challenge, the scavenger hunt challenge, something that I did, I guess my first strategic move was I gave up my vote to try to really make sure that my tribe won immunity so that it would give me more time to make bonds with people on my tribe. Um, it's unconfirmed, but I'd like to think, knowing that both tribes did pretty much everything on the list, that helped secure that win for my tribe, allowing me to do what I was intending to do, which was um, get on calls, get to talk to people. It paid off in a couple ways. First of all, I was able to solidify my relationship with the person that I was closest to and most loyal in this game, which was Mike. I know I lied about that a lot, but yes, that was true. And yeah, I also then was invited to an alliance that gave me a lot of security on that tribe as well, with Jackson, Marcelo, and Callum. We didn't end up going to many tribals on that tribe. I think we only went to one, but I do think that after that first round and doing what I could to make sure that I got through that first round, I think I put myself in a position where I was in a pretty good spot had we gone to multiple tribals on that tribe. On our swap tribe, I formed a few different groups. I wanted to form a group of myself, Mike, Edward, and Jeremy, which did eventually come to fruition, but for some reason it started kind of backwards, where it was two trios of Mike and myself and Edward, Mike and myself and Jeremy. But we eventually made it into a four, and we did that knowing that that was going to give us the agency on that tribe to ideally avoid any of us going home if we had to go to multiple tribals. When we did finally, lose and find ourselves going to a tribal, it occurred to me that despite the alliance that I was in on my OG tribe, I realized that for maintaining my relationship with Marcella, who I knew didn't want Sean to go, even though that was kind of what my alliance wanted to do. And just due to activity levels, it seemed like it was a better move to actually see if anything could be done about voting out Callum there. I actually did go to Mike and Edward first with this idea, and they kind of shot me down because they were worried about burning Marcelo. But once I was able to talk to Marcelo, he had the same mind frame as me, got that going, brought it back. And I do genuinely believe, particularly due to the nature of the following challenge, that was a really good strategic move for our tribe at that point. And I do think that I was the first one to try to get the ball rolling on that idea. So first 3 rounds of merge, I don't want to speak about that a lot. I don't think anyone can take any ownership of those circumstances, but I will say that I think a lot of us, it was definitely a hit on morale. And so there was a bit of a step back socially, but I wanted to make a point during that time to use all of that extra time to build and solidify the bonds that I had. Even if it was just DMing everybody every day, or trying to make sure I was staggering my calls and getting on one at least, every other day, every couple days with each person. I didn't want to, get to final 8 and find myself in a bad position. In particular, one of the most important relationships that I had in this game, my one with Rocky, was really formed and solidified during those first couple rounds of the merge. At the final 8, I was left out of the vote. I did not know what was coming. I did figure out where the idol was that day and advised Ed to play it, hoping to have control over what happened there. That didn't work out for me. I lost Mike. And I'll be honest, I kind of walked away from that vote and told myself that it was kind of liberating, because at that point, I was mad. I'd lost the person I was trying to look out for, but without him, I didn't really feel like, there were people who were honest with me. There were people who had my back, absolutely. But there wasn't any person at that point who hadn't left me out of something left. And so I said to myself, the moment that tribal ended, that I was going to start playing for myself. So from there, I just started to use something I like to use in games. I call it my expiration date strategy. I aim to prioritize those who I think will stick by me longer and target those who would go after me sooner. Despite being left out of the final 8 vote between my relationships with Rocky and Marcelo, I was able to make sure that live night was, the two people that from my perspective were the least loyal to me were the people who did leave on live night. And I definitely had a hand in planning that. In particular, the final 6 vote on live night with Missy, I went into that round prior to my call with Rocky in the mindset that I needed to find a way to work with the two of them, but he offered me the opportunity to, if I could get the votes to send Messi out, that he would throw his vote on me. And I just, on a personal perspective, I adore her, but on a game level, I just didn't think that I was a priority for Missy. So it was what felt best for my game at that point. After, getting through live night, I did have to give up Ed. That, from my perspective, from my expiration date strategy, wasn't necessarily the best, because I think that I would have expired with Sean sooner, but I didn't really have any other options. So I did have to let him go. And then at Final Four, I found myself in kind of a difficult situation. I think that I handled it with as much respect as possible and was able to survive that vote without fire. Final 3, this is something that's going to come out during jury questioning, I think, because at the end of the day, it's the final 3. I don't know if there was any fibs, but I was under the impression at the very least that regardless of winning immunity, that I was going to be sitting here with either of the two. But I wanted to win anyway, because I really wanted to, I can't sit here and say that I'm Marcelo. I don't have the strongest physical game, but I wanted a physical game. I wanted something. I didn't want it to be non-existent. So I really did my best on that final 3 immunity, and it paid off. That last vote was the hardest vote legitimately the hardest vote I've ever had to go through in an org. And I really looked at my options from the perspective of what I thought was my best chance sitting here. And I genuinely feel like so many of the strategic moves in the merge stage of the game were made. They originated in calls between me and Rocky. And I strategically wanted to be the person that was at the finals who could take ownership of those moves. I don't know if it'll pay off, and I'm really sorry that it had to cause hurt, because I was sitting at the final three with two people who were both going to be gutted no matter what I did. I do genuinely believe that something that I consider to be really impressive on my end is that at the final eight, I was left out. I was left in the dark. I was, you would think that you get put in that position and that you're in a bad spot. And I think that my recovery from that was fantastic. I mean, I turned it around and, had a lot of control over the next two votes. I absolutely am not
Courtney
going to
needs you to
pretend
wrap
like
it
I
up.
was. I'm sorry.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Love you.
Was almost done. I'm sorry. Okay, I was just gonna say I'm not going to pretend that I played a perfectly honest game. I tried to only lie when I felt like it was necessary to cover for somebody else, to cover for my own ass, whatever I thought strategically I needed to do in those moments. But I genuinely feel like I was never cruel. I genuinely always tried to take people's feelings into consideration. I think I played very well socially and strategically. And I'm ready for questions. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Okay, so now that the opening statements have been made, it is now the jury's time to question. One by one, you guys will have a maximum of 10 minutes to ask your questions and get your answers that you need. I will time it for you guys. First up is Logan, who is not here. However, he does have some statements and questions that I will read out quick. Logan says, first of all, I want to congratulate both of you for making it to the final two. You did something that 16 of us could not do, and no matter how you did it, you did something right. I wish that I could personally be at Final Tribal to thank you both personally for the kindness and compassion that you showed during my last few days, but unfortunately I cannot be here tonight. Both of your words over my last few days meant a lot, and I sincerely appreciate them. Now it's time for some questions. Courtney, during the roundtable, there was talk about your physical game not being the best. Did you honestly try your hardest in every challenge, or was there one or two or more that you threw in order to maintain your threat level?
I just am a good old-fashioned loser, guys. I always try my best in every challenge. I'm just not good at anything usually. I definitely think that there is benefit in the strategy of, trying not to be a comp beast, but I've never had that luxury in the year I've been playing orgs. So no, definitely didn't lack effort, just skill.
Okay, thank you, Courtney. Marcelo, there was talk about you having your finger on the pulse this entire game. When was a time in the game that you were on the bottom or were left out of a plan, and how did you come back from it?
Yes, I believe the time that I felt like I was a little shaky or out of a plan was actually in the final eight. I had an alliance with Rocky, Jackson, Missy, and Sean, and that entire day, the thought process was going to vote out Ed, but we were worried about an idol. I had talked to Mike the night before, and I told Mike I was not going to vote him out. And when we got to 7:30, we had tribal at 8 o'clock. 7:30, they all got on a call, and I went to eat dinner, and after dinner before tribal, I get a message from Misty being like, hey, I want you to know the plan has changed. We think Ed has an idol, so we're going to vote Mike. And I said I'm not doing that because of my word to Mike the night before that I wasn't going to vote him. So I decided to say what I was saying and vote Ed, and just hope that in some way that the idol would be played and Mike wouldn't be affected by it. I even told Courtney that night, that before tribal, I told Courtney that maybe we should throw our vote on Ed just to see what happens so that Mike doesn't get caught in the crossfire. So I do believe that that moment was the only time where I felt like I was on the, like, not the full bottom, but I felt like I didn't have a pulse on that round. Every other round that we played in this game, I genuinely feel like I knew what was going on, I knew what was happening, and that I was a part of the plan. I wasn't just told what the plan was.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, guys. Logan just wants to wish both of you the best of luck. We are going to move on now to Sean R. Sean R, you have got 10 minutes to ask any questions, make any statements that you want to make. Your time starts now.
Wrong button. Anyways, congratulations. First of all, I didn't really prepare anything. I just wanted to come into this and like hear what you guys had to say for your speeches. Marcelo, my question for you is, actually, I'm gonna start with Courtney. From my perspective, you said like you had like a social game and like you were talking about your social game, but every single time we got into a call, it was this, yeah, uh-huh, and like did not pay attention to anything I said, and then threw me under the bus to Rocky when all I did was agree with you. So I have a hard time voting for someone when they gave me so little time, and I don't feel like I owe you any time with jury questioning. So I'm gonna move on to Marcelo. A lot of people that came into the jury were talking about how Courtney was saying that she was like the puppet master, or that was the perspective. And I just don't necessarily see that. And I want to hear your perspective on why you think you played a better game than Courtney.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question. I don't think I was the puppet and Courtney was the puppet master. I never felt like Courtney told me what to do. If anything, Courtney and I, we called every night or every other night. Like we had a very constant form of communication, and anything Courtney said, it kind of, I put it in my mind and see what the best situation was, but never was Courtney saying for me to do anything as regards to votes. I mean, maybe Courtney had the same idea as me, but I always came to Courtney saying, oh, I think this is what we should do. This is how we should do it. This is the process in which we should do it by. And Courtney would just agree with me. Whether Courtney had the same idea or not, that's a different story. For example, at live night, the beginning of live night, the first vote, the final 7, I was kind of in this mindset. Courtney and Jackson were kind of going after each other basically, and I was kind of in the middle, and I was trying to keep them both from not going after each other because I genuinely did want to go far with them in this game. When I won immunity at final 7, I thought to myself, what's the best way to transition myself to the end of the game? And unfortunately it was, and I'm like, I had to take my personal, me as a person versus me as a game player. I had to take the personal out and stick to the game. And I knew that Jackson was a big threat because he was winning a lot of competitions, and he was someone that I knew he could be a shield for me. And I knew that he could be someone that I could, who would be loyal to me and I'd be loyal to him. But there came a point where I felt like I was going to be in the shadow, and I really wanted to push myself forward and make myself, in a game sense, the main character, as I like to say, or some sort of that. So that's kind of, I don't think I was the puppet for Courtney's puppet master. So that's kind of how I answer. I hope that answered your question.
It did, but I also have another question. I might
Yeah.
just continue on to give you extra time and stuff like that. What was your strongest move in the pre-merge and then post-merge?
Pre-merge, I believe my strongest move in the pre-merge was, in my perception, I believe the strongest move for me was the Callum vote, because I knew that Sean and I being on a tribe together was going to be seen as, you know, the whole elephant in the room is Sean and I were friends before this game. However, I wasn't going into this game being like, I want to play with them. I knew Courtney, Mike, Jeremy, and Ed kind of knew of each other through other games, but I didn't want to take that into account into this game. So I believe the vote was supposed to be Sean at the final 13 when Callum went. And I believe for me, it was the sense where I wanted to stay tribe strong, but I felt like Callum was hindering us and hindering my game specifically. So I took it upon myself, and learning that the others were kind of agreeing with me on that. I was messaging Courtney, I was messaging Mike, I was messaging Ed, I was messaging Jeremy and Sean saying Callum needs to be the vote. I believe Callum's vote was a big move for me. And then in the merge, I believe one of the biggest moves that I made was actually in the final 3. Courtney and I, the night before final immunity, we were saying that we'd take each other to the end. And then Courtney won final immunity, and her and I got on a call, and she was like, I know I had my word, but at the same time, going to the end with you could be a losing move. And I know that I have a strong story in this game, and I knew that my last chance to get to the final 2 and to get to it was to make sure that Courtney understood that if she sat next to me, she would have a chance. If she sat next to Rocky, there were different avenues and different scenarios where Rocky would lead a winning game and I would probably not have a big chance. I was downplaying the big chance that I think I have of winning. So I think my best move was getting myself to this final 2 seat.
All right, I don't have any other questions. Marcelo, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Next up would be Jeremy. He has obviously chosen not to be here tonight. He has pre-voted and he does wish you guys good luck tonight. So we will move on to Mike. Mike, the floor is yours. You have got 10 minutes starting from now.
All my questions have been answered already, god damn it. God. All right, so
I'm so sorry.
Well, first of all, congrats on making it to final 2. Obviously, that's what this game is all about, is getting to the end, and some people get pissed off when they don't, and that's just the way it goes. So let me think here. All right, Marcelo. What do you feel was the biggest lie you told in the game, and was it worth it?
The biggest lie I told in the game. I think the biggest lie I told in the game was when you messaged me right before Tribal Council saying if you were going home, and I told you, no, I haven't heard your name. I had heard Ed's name. Do I think it was worth it? On a personal level, no, because we had a great personal relationship throughout this game. I always loved getting on calls with you game-wise. I think it could be a bad game move or a bad move just in case because it's exactly what you said. You said that you'd be like, Courtney and I had a conversation. You're either this or you're that. You're either with Mike or you're not with Mike. And I know keeping something from you is probably a downfall in my game. So I believe that that is probably the biggest lie I told, was telling you that I had not heard your name.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't hold it against you. It's part of the fucking game. It's all good. All right, Courtney. I may have missed it. I don't remember. But what do you feel was the biggest move you made to help you get to where you are right now?
I think it was just kind of more of just an overall trying to have my hand in as many cookie jars as possible. I made sure that I was really well connected to the best of my abilities. Anyone that I wasn't close with, I was close with someone that was close with them, to try to, make sure that even if somebody would bring up my name, that it would get shot down by somebody else. It was, maybe it wasn't this like one individual move, but just that overall web I think kept me insulated and able to adapt even when my game plan had to change after the final 8.
Okay. And one last question for both of you. What's favorite number and what's favorite color?
My favorite number is 6. It was the month I was born, and my favorite color is blue. Green, 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 green.
I'm so glad he changed his favorite color because my favorite number is 6 and my favorite color is blue. Like dark blue, sapphire specifically. But my favorite number is 6 because it is my lucky number. I've had multiple situations where I've had to pick a number and 6 seems to always win for me.
All right. Thank you and good luck with the rest of the questions tonight.
Thank you, Mike. And just to let you know, my lucky number's 24 and my favorite color's orange. Didn't ask, rude. I'm joking. Right, we are moving on to Lamar. Lamar, you have 10 minutes. The floor is yours.
Shout out to Mike for stealing my questions. It really means a lot. So I only have so much time. Congratulations to both of you. I'm going to start with Courtney as I think of a question on the fly. Okay, so I think I might be stealing Missy's question. Sorry, but some of the jury thought that there was a bit of unnecessary lying. Obviously, lying is part of the game. Like, we understand it's part of a winning game, but there was sometimes where we looked at your game and we thought she lied, but really didn't have to. So I want to give you the floor and kind of explain that, because there's a couple of jurors here that we're definitely about to ask about it.
Absolutely. And, I have been trying to think of examples of lies that I can't really, back up as well, or like that might be questioned. I can only personally think of one. I would absolutely love the opportunity to have an example thrown at me if anyone is so kind as to do so at some point. Missy, I think I'm getting to the one that comes to mind, though. I think I'm getting to, which is when we were about to vote Final 6 live night, and I told Missy I was not going to be voting for her, even though I knew I was. The main reason that I did that was because I was also in Rocky's DMs, making sure that he still wanted to do it, that he wasn't changing his mind. I didn't want him to feel pressured. I wouldn't have done the same. I knew it was what he felt was best for his game, but like when you have that bond with a person, it's a really hard thing to do. So I wanted to wait till the last possible moment to make sure that he didn't have a change of heart. Because if he did, that was going to really affect things, tipping her off. So I just told her that it wasn't her. Also, I don't think the perspective that I had on the situation was that he didn't really want her to know. And I was trying to also kind of respect that. It wasn't my place, because it was definitely something that, because I didn't push that. And to further, I felt that it was best for my game. I was definitely on board for it, but it wasn't something that I would have pitched to Rocky. But yes, for me, I can definitely see how that would have felt unnecessary. There was nothing you could have done. There were no idols, but in the moment, I genuinely felt like it could change any second. I really was not sure that was going to stay that way. I kept saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And it did end up being what happened, but I was never going to force that, because like I said, it's not something I think that I personally would have been able to do in the same position. So.
Okay. And yes, we were at odds ends during the merge. Nothing's ever personal, and I think you know that. Marcelo, hi, buddy. So I think you made the moves that you needed to. You made the friendships that you needed, made the alliances that you wanted. did the things that you wanted to do in this game, which included blindsiding me. And I think that you made the right calls. I think you made the right decisions. Obviously, you're fucking here. With that being said, I'm a human being with emotions and feelings. So why should I vote for you when we had a final 2 deal from day 2, basically?
Yes. I would like your vote. I understand that I hurt you in a game level, and obviously nothing was ever personal, but you are a human being who has feelings. So I do want to address that. When you and I made that pact before we swapped into our new tribes in the pre-merge, I told you I was never going to vote you out. And at that moment, I was being sincere. I was never going to vote you out. When we got to the merge and we were put into that 5-person alliance with Missy, Rocky, and Sean, you and I still communicated together. We still talked about what we wanted to do. But I sensed that from my perception, and maybe it was not yours, but from mine, you were getting closer to Missy and you were getting closer to Rocky. I felt at that point, I felt like I was not the biggest priority for you. And that's just a general, I know your face, so I'm trying to sense the vibe here. But I felt, I'm going to be completely honest, I felt, and I was intimidated by how you were playing the game because I wanted to play that game. I wanted to play the game that you were playing. And when you were kind of making decisions and I was with you, like helping with these decisions as well, I looked at that and I was like, if I sit next to this person in final 2, I feel like I'm going to be looked at as someone who is in Jackson's shadow. So I felt like you played the best game, and I felt like you were someone who I genuinely could not sit at the end with. I had never, up until the moment I won Final 7 immunity, that was when I said to myself, I need to play this game for myself. I don't need to play to get second place to someone who's playing an incredible game. So I thought for my best interest was to take the shot. And if it hurts you, I do sincerely apologize. It wasn't meant for that. You are a human being who has feelings. So I do want to, your feelings are valid. So I do apologize and I'm sincere about it. But for my game, I think it was the best move. And if that doesn't get your vote, I totally understand. But why you should vote for me is because I played my ass off from day 1 to day, whatever it is, 4,052 at this point, because it feels like it. I just felt like you were playing the game that I wanted to play. So I thought if I could just take you out of the running, I could be there. So
I want to know what kind of game y'all think I played, because I guarantee you, and I will bet my house that it's not the game. I won 2 challenges that require some kind of physical level. Sure. I'm looking for the rest of my
Jackson, for me, Jackson, I'll just respond and say that for me, I definitely benefited from the perception that you were a big threat, but you were a threat to me because I knew that you were not going to let me stick around long if you had anything to say about it. And so that was my motive personally.
I understand.
Not that I don't think you were playing a great game. I do, but for me, it was more so about the fact that you weren't somebody who wanted me to last much longer.
Like, I understand that perspective. And that's why I didn't ask you, because I knew exactly why you voted me out. That's fine. But okay. I have 2 minutes because I'm also timing myself. So this is a really quick question. Try to make it as quick as possible. And shout out to Michael Schwartz. This question fucking rocks. He said it one time and I want to say it. What's one thing that you learned about me? Marcelo, I started with Courtney first. So you're up now.
That you like to play Smash Bros. That was something that I was fully, I mean, I knew you were like a gamer. I knew you were like a video gamer, and I didn't know you were like a Smash Bro gamer. I was like, I'm going to be completely honest. You were talking about like Smash Bros tournaments when we were in the pre-merge. And I was like, I would love to play Smash with this man because I'm a Kirby person. I'm a Kirby stan. And Kirby is someone who I play with, but I don't want to go on to it. But yes, gamer, Super Smash.
Thanks, Courtney.
honestly, for me, the best conversation that you and I ever had was when we kind of bonded over the fact that we've both had a lot of experience with people not really seeing our sincerity as people when it came to being in this position. I was very surprised, to be honest, that you and I related on that level, but I haven't, played with you before. But it just like, I learned a lot about you. I saw your heart a lot more in that moment, learning that you have kind of that same struggle where you do genuinely care about the people that you're playing with, even if this is a game where we have to vote each other out. And I don't know, that might not be like a fun fact. It might be more deeper as to who you are as a person, as a character, but that is something that just I always think about when I think of you, is that conversation.
Okay. Thank you to the both. Those are the end of my questions. I have 15 seconds left, so I'm just going to wrap it up now. Like, no matter what I say, again, I will say this 5 billion times. It's all game. Nothing's ever personal with me. It may seem personal. I'm sorry, but it's all game. I love you both, and I wish you both the best of luck. Before I go, Marcelo, did you see what I was wearing today? It's my Big League Baseball 2016 state championships, and it's for baseball. Baseball.
Okay. Baseball.
I hope you got that reference, but that is all.
Still not a college athlete.
Thank you for going over your time there, Lamar. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Right, next up, we have the very gorgeous who came to slay today, Missy. Missy, you have 10 minutes. Your time starts now.
Missy, we can't hear you.
Oh, for
Can you hear me
God's sake,
now?
right.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
This headset is shit.
And we start again.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a lot of things like running through my head. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all did me dirty. But it's a game. First and foremost, I want to say congratulations to both of you. Y'all did have a strong social game. Y'all did. Both of you did. Marcelo, I do feel like you had your hands in everything. I came in to merge coming for you. And you said Selena, and I'm like, okay, never mind. Okay, and then there's Courtney. Courtney, me and you personally, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was not buying what you were selling during the game, but I know that a lot of people were. And it was frustrating because people did shoot that down. And so it is what it is. I'm gonna start my questions with Marcelo. Marcelo, what would you say was apart from the mic situation, what would you say is the one thing in the game that you regret the most?
I think the one thing I regret the most. I try to play, to back it up, I try to play these games with no regrets because every move I made got me to where I am. But however, I think my one regret in this game was hurting, I don't know how, because I obviously don't know how everyone's feeling, but I feel a big regret is I never want to hurt anyone's feelings. I never want to hurt anyone's emotions. Everyone's a human being. And I just feel like a big regret that I have is I could have done better with telling people my full thoughts instead of stopping at a point. I could have told people how I was feeling about their placement in the game, if I wanted to go after them or not. So I think one of my big regrets is just always keeping a little bit to myself and not being fully as transparent as I can. The only reason I had done that was because I was worried that my name was never brought up. I had only one vote, and that was in the final 5 when Ed put his vote on me. So I was always trying to gauge situations, but I believe a big regret of mine is the fact that I didn't fully express myself in many ways and wasn't transparent with a lot of people.
Okay.
To the full extent.
Okay. I don't really have a whole lot of other questions for you. I do want to say that one, I don't know if you realize, like, yes, I do think you hurt a lot of people's feelings. I'm saying this because there were a lot of people that cared a lot about you. And just in general, when the game was over, I would reach out to those people. The other thing I want to say is Jackson, I very much got the vibe Jackson was about you. And so, like, we were chatting, but I was like, you know, Jackson's going to take Marcelo. Shandi is going to take Marcelo. I just want you to know that. But
Thank
like,
you.
also, you made me feel like an old lady when you said you weren't born when Selena died. But anyway, okay.
I'll say it later.
No, okay, yes, hit me up. Okay, Courtney. I feel like I have a lot to say to you. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel like you're throwing the blame on me going and kind of making it seem like that was Rocky's idea. I don't feel like that was Rocky's idea. If anything, I feel like it might have been Marcelo's. But if you were not sure, you here's where I'm like, if you were not sure, you could have taken a page out of Marcelo's book. Marcelo did not lie. If he didn't know, like, he didn't speak to me at all. He's the one person that night that did not lie to my face. You did. And like, that benefited you in no way. You could have said nothing and I would not be as upset. But I just wanted you to know that, like, that has a huge effect. I don't appreciate that. I do get lying is a part of the game. We all hate that part. But like, if you didn't know, don't respond, girl. Don't respond. I'm not gonna carry on because I don't want to be that person. I would like to know what you think you did, like, after Mike left, that was full on your idea, that was not going along with whatever Marcelo might have suggested. I want to know one strategic move that you made where you threw out a name and you threw out an idea and it played through, that got you where you are right now.
Okay. So the way that I believe that Live Night was determined was actually, it originated on a conversation between myself and Rocky. I suggested that the first boot should be Lamar while he was vulnerable. I felt like we didn't know exactly when that next opportunity was going to come. And as I've stated previously, I feel like Lamar is somebody who wasn't going to have me factored into any later game plans. I do think that I was the first person to say it. Maybe the idea came to multiple people's heads around the same time. But the conversation that I had with Rocky, which was actually immediately following the conversation that I had with you that day on my way back from my corporate training, was where the idea to go for Lamar first while he was vulnerable came from. And then that was followed up by a suggestion that if I could take ownership for coming up with the idea to pitch to Rocky to vote out his closest ally and have that work, I would take ownership of that, because that's some mist right there that I did not actually possess. It was not my idea. I definitely made sure to then hop on a call with Marcelo, found Marcelo pitching the same thing about going for Lamar, music to my ears, brought up the idea of potentially going for you next, let him know that I thought it could actually happen due to the conversation I'd had with Rocky. I definitely helped facilitate making sure all the pieces went into place, let Ed know that maybe he wasn't going to die that night. But yeah, I do think Lamar's name came from me originally, though I do think the idea originated with a lot of people. And then obviously I did end up with the power to make the soul to decide this final juror. So that has a lot of blood on my hands with that decision.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so not trying to cut you off. I do want to say I'm not mad at you for coming for me, girl, because I was coming for you. I'm not gonna lie. At some point I was coming for you. So that's okay. I just wish that you had handled it different. I have 2 questions, so I want to go so fast. Do you honestly think that you stand a better chance to win this game sitting next to Marcelo than you did Rocky? Because apart
Yes,
from
I
my
did
vote, like realistically,
yes, I genuinely, and Marcelo did state this. Despite having a deal with Marcelo, I called Marcelo and said,
2 minutes
I'm
left.
thinking about voting you out. I'm sorry?
he said 2 minutes. I wanted Jackson's
okay.
question so bad.
Okay.
He checked mine. Mhm.
I genuinely called Marcelo and let him know that I was thinking of voting him out because I thought that taking him here could be a game losing decision. I did not come to the conclusion to bring Marcelo here because of my personal bond with Marcelo, because I was sitting there with two people that I love with my whole heart, and either one of them was going to be absolutely gutted. And I had to put that aside and make what felt like the most strategic decision. I sat and I went through every member of the jury. You're all individuals with your own motives and things you value. What I speculated on might not be the case, but I went through each of you and speculated who I thought had a relatively easy to predict vote preference, who I thought was really up in the air. And I actually came to the conclusion that Rocky was looking at having 5 pretty likely votes. And some of the votes I thought, at least if people were voting from a personal perspective, I thought that were more up in the air between myself and Marcelo than they would be between myself and Rocky, where some of them even I felt like people who I felt good with had really good relationships with him. So that was one of the things. And then the other reason, which I stated earlier, is just the fact that I genuinely, and this is not me trying to make a knock on Marcelo's game, because we both agreed we would not do that to each other. But I genuinely feel like even if the ideas were coming to our heads at the same time, the conversations that were had between me and Marcelo were typically had after conversations that I had with Rocky, where he and I were often on the same page before we even started talking. But I feel like strategically, Rocky was my partner, and I wanted to be the one to be able to take ownership of that.
I understand.
And those were the reasons why I thought this was the best decision.
Your 10 minutes are now up. Sorry, Missy.
It is okay. It's okay.
Do you have any final statement before we move on, though?
I'm not gonna lie. Marcelo is gonna get my vote. I'm sorry. I like how he appreciated, like how he addressed that situation with me and him. Nothing personal, Courtney, but I do hope Marcelo wins.
Okay, thank you, Missy. Right, next up we have Edmo. Edmo, like the others, you have 10 minutes. Time starts now.
All I gotta say is congratulations to you both. Good luck to one of you.
5 seconds. Fucking amazing. I mean, if I'd known that, I would have given Missy the rest of your time. Okay, next up, we've got Sean. Sean, you've got 10 minutes. Let's see if you can beat 5 seconds starting from now.
Congrats. Just kidding. Hi, bestie Marcelo. Hi, Courtney. I have 2 questions, one separately for each other. I'll start with Courtney. Courtney, if you could choose 3 people that you voted for and explain the reason behind it, and then out of the 3, choose which one benefited your game the most. I can say that separately if you want it. So
3 people I voted
votes.
for, why I voted for them, and how it benefited my game, or which one benefited my game the most.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. Okay. Looking at the jury, we will say Missy Jackson, Sean R. So out of let's see, I voted for Sean because, well, there was a majority on Sean, but at the end of the day, for me in particular, I was absolutely rude to Sean, yes. But from a game perspective, if the person doesn't ever want to speak to me again, then that's not good for me from a game perspective. So Missy, I voted for because I didn't think that she was really with me. I think that she was with me at most by extension through Rocky. And Jackson, I also felt was going to be coming for me soon if he could. From the three, I do think that voting for Missy was the most beneficial, at least towards getting me here. Obviously, the way I handled it didn't work out well for me from a jury perspective, but from the perspective of me getting to the end, I do think that that was probably the best move, because at that point, that opened up the door for myself to be, I was still, at this point, Marcelo's probably top two person. I was now Rocky's closest person. I was Ed's closest person. That was definitely very beneficial in that end game.
Thank you. Marcelo. Fuck you, first of all. Just kidding. I love you. From what I heard from the jury, you had many final twos. So the boring question: if you weren't sitting next to Courtney, who would you prefer sitting next to?
If I hadn't sat next to Courtney, I believe I would be sitting next to Rocky. Rocky and I, when we met at the merge, had probably one of my favorite conversations I've ever had in an org, because it was just all personal. It wasn't game. It was just a personal conversation. And Rocky and I got close in that regard. And what people probably don't realize is that, yes, Courtney was close to Rocky. Yes, Courtney was close to me. But Rocky and I, although we weren't each other's number ones, I felt like Rocky was someone who genuinely had my back in this game, and I had his. And I feel like sitting next to Rocky would probably be who I would sit next to. Although I will say, I'm not sure. I think I told people, oh, I'd love to sit with you at the end. I know I said to Jackson final two. I hope that is clear something up. I may have said that to other people, but I know for a fact that Jackson and I told each other we're a final two.
Okay. I had something else to say, but I left out of my head. But yeah, good luck to the both of you. I'm still upset with one of y'all, but that's it. That's on a personal level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Right, we have come to our final jury member, and ending things. Oh, he's on camera. Hi, my love. We have Rocky. Rocky, just like everyone else, you have 10 minutes. Your time starts now, my love.
Hey, how you guys doing? I know I said I wouldn't be a bitter juror, and I lied. So, no, for real, congrats to both of you. It's not easy to get to the end. So for real, congrats, regardless of how I feel at this very moment. I'm gonna start with Courtney. What's going on, Court? So I know you had to do what you do, and I know that final travel was very hard for all of us. I just want to know, because you told me personally something that honesty, truth, and loyalty mean a lot to you. You told me this rounds before the final three, though. You told me this when I told you about the 5 chat that we had and what happened to Mike, and I explained to you everything, and you told me, oh, because you told me, oh, about alliances that you're in. Marcelo never told me these things and all this other stuff. You told me rounds before that when me, you, and Marcelo made that final 3, that if we got to the end, it will always be me and you because of loyalty, honesty, and truth. And I took that very seriously, and I told you everything. You were the one person I did not lie to in this game. The one person, besides the Mike vote. So why should you get my vote?
Well, I told you when I told you that I was going to be voting you out that I don't expect your vote. And I completely understand why I might not receive it. The thing is that sometimes I find myself in a position where I say things that I mean in the moment, and then later my mind, my circumstances, things change, and then I find myself making a hypocrite of myself. I don't like, I'm not saying that I've never told a lie in this game. Obviously I did, knowing I was lying for the purpose of, lying for whatever my motive was, whether it was trying to cover up how close Mike and I were, or, in a moment thinking that it was the best move to not tell somebody they were the vote. But when it came to things that were much more personal conversations and talking about, what I value or what I was planning to do later on, I wasn't being insincere in those moments, but I definitely found myself, thinking about things, looking at from different perspectives, or just seeing circumstances change, and then having to decide if I wanted to make the best move for myself, from a moral perspective or from a game perspective. And I definitely had moments where I said something and then found myself realizing later that what I said prior was not the right game decision. With you in particular, I felt like, at first I genuinely, like when we had that conversation, I felt like we were never going to turn on each other. But at Final Four, you told me that you were going to vote me out. You told me that you were going to take Marcelo to the end if you got to the finals. You took it back. You took it all back. But we had a conversation where you said that if you, that you were heavily leaning towards voting for me with Sean. And furthermore, that you, if I won fire, for example, that you would be taking Marcelo to the end. Like I said, you took it back, but like, I guess that I genuinely felt that from my perspective, between the Missy vote and that conversation we had, that I thought that you understood, I guess, that that you have to play your game, that's how I viewed it at the time. Now, obviously, when we spoke, when I made my decision, when I realized that either one of you was going to be gutted, whatever decision I made, and I saw how you felt, I realized that that was not going to be the case, that you weren't going to see it from that perspective. But at that point, I had to die on my hill of making the decision that I thought was best for me strategically, because the only thing I could do at that point was, console you and say, okay, never mind, I can't do this to you, and go do it to Marcelo, who would have been just as upset.
Okay, well,
So,
first, I was not going to vote you out because I thought about that very, very hard. Sean, you're learning this probably now. I was going to do Sean because I thought, honestly, it would be best for my game because I couldn't beat Sean or Marcelo. So I didn't want to, and I didn't necessarily think I could beat you. I was really being honest with you. I thought we had the best chance against each other. And when I came into the jury, I did find out that was kind of true, that we had the best chance against each other. So yeah, that I may have honestly, I don't remember saying that. I do remember saying that I didn't know about you when we first got to the merge, and then that quickly changed, and I was like rocking with you, Courtney. So like that's why I was a little confused. But okay, I hear your answer. And that's pretty much all I got for you. Marcelo, I just want to know, and be very honest with me with this. Were you just making me feel comfortable when you said that you would take me to the final because of the whole PLC thing, or were you really going to take me to the end if you had won?
I was not trying to make you feel comfortable with that. I don't put personal stuff outside of the game into this game. So I wasn't just saying that to butter you up or anything. I am going to be completely honest with you, and this might shock a lot of people. Had I won that final immunity, you and I played very different games. The two of us played probably not this, like very much different games. So I felt like sitting next to you was probably going to be sitting next to you or sitting next to Courtney was going to be a fair fight. So had I won that final immunity, I know I gave my word to Courtney that night. I was going to take you to the final two. I know I told Courtney that I was going to take her, but I knew that you and I against each other was going to be a fight. I don't know what was going to happen. I still don't know what's going to happen between me and Courtney, but I was considering that you and I were going to sit in this final two, and I was being really, really down about that. So I do want to be completely honest with you on that part.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Good luck to both of you. Again, congrats to being in the final two, and we'll see what happens with the first triumph winner.
Thank you, Rocky, and we will indeed. Right, all of the jury have made their final statements and given their final questions. It is now Courtney and Marcelo's time to give their closing statement. This is your chance to let everyone know anything else that you want to put out on the table to get their votes. So you guys will have 10 minutes each for this, so just because people like to blabber. But we are going to start with Courtney. Whenever you're ready,
Okay,
babe.
so now that all the jury questions are done, and I took some notes kind of on things that I didn't get to talk about. First one, or like get to answer to in the moment. First thing, not super, just a details thing. Marcelo did bring up that during the final 8 that he reached out to me and said that he should, that we should throw our votes on Ed because he was worried that Mike would be in the crossfire. He did not, I just want to say he did not mention Mike. No one ever mentioned that Mike was in a lick of danger to me. He did mention that we should throw our votes on Ed, but I just want it to be well known that I was not remotely aware that Mike was in danger. Sean R., I mentioned this before. I don't expect your vote. I never expect you to vote. You never talked to me. Like, you stopped talking to me. I get it. I was rude. I'm sorry. Like, I wasn't doing that maliciously. You're absolutely valid to have been frustrated with me. I'm not talking about this right now because I'm pandering for your vote, because I know that is a sunk cost, but I don't want anyone to feel dismissed by me or anything like that. That definitely was not my intention. I had a lot going on and I was just dividing my attention between a lot of things. It was tone deaf. It wasn't meant to be mean. Also, I do want to say that I wasn't maliciously throwing you under the bus as well. From my perspective, I've said it this whole game, and it really is true. I don't recall saying that you wanted to stick with the OG tribe. I don't remember saying that in that conversation. That conversation was about a lot of other things. But I don't recall enough to say that maybe I did. It certainly wasn't trying to throw you under the bus. We had the majority from our OG tribe. I kind of just thought it was kind of an obvious thing. It wasn't something I maliciously did. I definitely wasn't trying to both be rude to you and throw you under the bus. That would have been quite mean. Puppet master. I just wrote that down. I've never called myself a puppet master. I'm sorry. I would never, I promised myself I would come in here and be less apologetic than I normally am in games. I care a lot about people's feelings, and I usually come in and just apologize so much, and no one believes me anyway. So I was trying to be more confident this time, but I definitely have never had enough confidence to say something that cocky about myself, and I have not. I do think I played well strategically and socially. I don't think that I was pulling strings. This game was very fluid. A lot of people had to get on the same page in order for things to happen. My game is not perfect. Absolutely not. My social game in particular, I talked about it a lot, and some holes have been poked into that. Some of the mistakes that I did make, which are absolutely valid. It wasn't perfect. It was enough though, because it did get me here. I do absolutely care about the effect that it had, any of the mistakes that I made, the choices I made that were wrong, being rude to Sean, lying to Missy, you know, misreading Rocky's view on this game, those things that did negatively affect how people felt on a personal level, I absolutely do care about that. I genuinely do feel that I played a game that wasn't perfect, but it was adaptable, it was strategic, it was social, and it may not have been the comp beast of the season, but I made sure that at the end I at least had something to say physically. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Right, Marcelo, finish things off for us.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for your questions, and thank you all for letting us speak our minds and speak our truths. I told you in the beginning, I came into this game and I thought to myself, I need to make sure that I don't get walked on. I need to make sure that I'm not the person that people are like, we can throw a vote on him, and if he goes out, it's not going to hurt our feelings, because I've been through that. I've been hurt by votes, I've been hurt by people, and I wanted to make sure that when I came into this game, the only person who was my number one, who was the top of my list, was me. And I needed people in this game to help me further my agenda and further my place in this game. I am just blown away by how I maneuvered myself in this game, because I was never a thought to vote out until the final 5. My name was never brought up. I always knew in times of tribal that I was the one who knew, although I might not have voted in every tribal right, I at least knew that either plan A, plan B, or plan C was going to go through. I never felt like I was truly blindsided. And I think that that is intent to my social game. My social game helped me get here. I did win 3 immunity competitions, which I will also not knock off the list. But I think my social game and my strategic game placed me where I am right now. To the people who I have hurt, I will obviously talk to you after this game, and I do sincerely apologize. It is never my intention to hurt anybody. None of this ever was personal. It was all strictly game, and I want people to know that. And I'm definitely open to talking after this, just to make sure that we're all good, because I never want to leave anyone on a sour note. I also want to say that during the pre-merge, I was in the middle seat, the passenger seat. I was just seeing the views, holding the map, making sure that we knew where we were going. But once we hit the merge, I got out of my passenger seat and I hit to the driver's seat, because I knew I wanted to know where I was going, and I had to go to the end my way or people's who wanted me to take them to the end with me. I know I had to cut someone who was very close to me, and I do sincerely, I cut a lot of people who were close to me, but 2 main people who I cut that I had to take game out of, or personal out of, because I know that they are hurt, and I do sincerely apologize. And I knew that I needed to place myself in this final 2 by making sure that although I wasn't fully transparent with everyone, I at least never fully, except for maybe 1 or 2 times, never fully lied to anyone fully. There was some lies that happened. Yes, I will admit to that. But I think I deserve to win, because I am the definition of triumph. Triumph to me is someone who starts from day 1 and doesn't stop running until the final. So I feel like I'm the one who represents this season, because I'm sitting here saying that my place in this game, my adaptability, my vulnerability, my truthfulness, my way of talking to people, my social game, my strategic game, and although it's not physical, I have a physical game. I held those cups to that wall. I made sure. It was 5 cups that I couldn't do, but that's okay. But I want people to understand that I'm not the same Marcelo that some people know from January 2021. It is September 2021, and I am the Marcelo who's standing here right now, who wants your vote to win this game, because I have the passion for it. I have applied for this game, and I thought to myself, as long as I'm proud of the game I played, I've already won. Even if I was an early boot, as long as I'm proud of the game I played, and I am proud of the game I played. I'm proud of who I am right now. And I hope that you see my game the way I see it. There might be a little crack in my game, but I want you to know that everything I said tonight, I was truthful about it. And I think that I deserve to be the winner of Triumph because I feel like I can see my name in lights with Triumph in it. So I want to thank you all so much. I love you all so much as individuals outside of the game. And in this game, I thank you for being on this journey with me. So whatever happens, I'm very content and very thankful to have met all of you. And with that, I say thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcelo. Right, that is it. No more statements, no more questions. One of you is about to be crowned the winner of Triumph Season 1. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask each jury member to go to their production chat and cast their vote for a winner. Just a reminder, jury, you are voting for who you want to win this game. I'm going to start with Logan as he is chatting in the Ponderosa chat, so I will get him to confirm his vote.
Do we have to stay
I can
quiet
confirm
during
he
this
has
part?
not changed his vote. I'm like, if he doesn't confirm, like that's his vote.
Do we have to
He
stay
has.
quiet?
No, you don't have to anymore. You guys can talk now if you want to shout out anyone. Marcelo.
No, I just want to know if Marcelo was pooping during the 24-hour challenge. That's all I want to know.
I will take you on the journey of my apartment, Missy.
Yes, let me see your apartment because that was so quick. Like you flew.
I was sitting here in my bed, right here, and I see take a shower with your clothes on.
I was like, Marcelo's pooping.
Missy was
Sean R,
convinced you were
please confirm your vote.
Who?
Sean R.
And this is my shower.
Okay.
I was not pooping.
You
Do not worry.
promise? I
Swear.
feel like you were pooping.
Thank you, Sean R. I'm going to message Jeremy, see if he replies.
Shout out to Olivia Rodrigo. I hope you're doing well. Just had to put that in there.
No, good. Shout out to Olivia Rodrigo. I too hope you're doing well.
No clue who that is.
And Jackson's dad. Todd.
Missy's mom.
Yes.
Okay, next up, Mike. Please cast your vote to win.
Shout out to Missy's husband, Tom Cruise.
Listen, we're not doing that tonight. We are not. You're not going to get me started. No.
The season sponsored but not sponsored by Four Loco.
It's
I
from
was
Mission
like-
Impossible, Tom Cruise.
I thought that those posters were a drunken bad dream. I woke up the next day.
Up to vote is Lamar. Please cast your vote to win.
I'm still pissed about those posters.
Such a cute poster.
Don't show it. I will fight you. Was that what? Yeah, Sean D put a poster of Tom Cruise.
But Missy, they're
next to
so
me.
good.
They're not.
Thank you, Lamar.
That's my life here.
Next
Shut
up to vote is Missy. Missy, please confirm and cast your vote to win.
You also have this one.
Do I need to go to a
No,
breakout room? I don't see a breakout room.
No, just on your pod chat.
Oh, hang on one second.
Thank you, Missy. Next up is Ed. Ed, please confirm your vote. Thank you, Edward. Okay, Sean, please confirm and cast your vote to win. Thank you, Sean.
Shout out Raven Walton.
And finally, Rocky, please
Shot.
confirm your vote.
I also like to shout out Dua Lipa because your tickets came out on sale earlier and my friend got them and
Joe,
didn't
I'm
invite
not on
me.
mute. They all just heard that.
What?
I'm sorry, excuse me.
I hate you so much.
Yeah,
Did y'all hear my brother in the background? I'm just like wondering.
Okay,
No, they didn't.
guys,
Oh, here we go.
I have the votes. Now, before I reveal the votes, I think we should add some more people. Shall we get the pre-jury in here?
Where's Joel?
Do
And
it, do
Yes.
it. Where's Joel? Joel better be here.
Hey,
Yeah,
Joel, it's me.
There's Andrew.
My daughter told me the other night, she's like, Mom, I know what I want to be
Girl,
for
Andrew.
Halloween. She says, I want to
What?
be a pizza demon for Halloween. I'm like,
Me too.
no, it's still
Me
too
too.
painful. It's too painful.
A pizza demon, that's awesome.
She wanted to be a pizza demon for Halloween. She loves Joel.
Right. I have sent the link to the pre-jury. I'm just going to finish up these votes. Chat
Why
amongst
do-
yourselves.
Like, y'all, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I played a messy ass pre-merge, and I don't like confrontation.
I want to know what
soon as-
Sam has to say to you.
I want to know too, honestly. We're about to find out now.
I'm gonna ask
Also,
him.
when
I'll be
we're
like,
ta-
you said you had a question. What's the question?
When we were talking about the pizza demon, my mom just shouted that pizza's here. So I don't think
Oh,
that's
is
a
that what you
coincidence.
were laughing at? No, it's
Yeah.
Elena. You can be a pizza demon for Halloween. Really? No, not really.
Boo.
Too soon. It's too soon.
It's still
Yes, you
hurt.
can, Elena. Yeah, Elena. Yes, you can. I give you permission.
Jackson says you can. He says he gives you permission.
You have to have the
It's
pizza
still
cutter
hurts.
though.
Oh, not the pizza cutter in the fridge. Oh, you want
And
to come say
ketchup.
hi?
You have to have ketchup all over the
here.
floor.
Y'all, this
Courtesy
is
of
my
Jackson.
daughter. This is Elena.
Hi, Elena.
She knows all of y'all's names. She loves all of you. She, by the way, was usually my camera woman.
Missy, who does she love the most though?
The pizza demon. And then Logan. And then Rocky.
Oh my God, is that Callum?
Is Callum here?
Hi, Callum.
Hi, Cal.
Callum!
Callum's on mute, but hi, Callum.
Unmute Callum, say hi.
Oh,
Oh,
there he
It's
is.
Fucking
Callum!
hate this laptop.
Callum!
Hey guys,
Hi,
hey,
Callum.
Callum.
Melissa, 2 games, and this is the first time I've ever seen your face.
Yes, I know. Hi, Callum. Hi.
Hello. Congratulations, final 2. Not saying that I called it or anything, but congratulations.
Oh, you called it. Got it.
Me and Callum had a whole ass conversation about that today. He's like, I called that.
We did. So for those that don't know it, Melissa and I were in a game together called the Social Series on Facebook, but some bitter fuckwit is probably the only way I can describe him. Was on a mission to get me out, so I was first boot.
Yes,
What?
I was so
Yeah.
upset.
Actually, no, I can't tell you that because I'm out of the game.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, don't say anything.
Do you know what? I very nearly gave you something that would have really helped you.
Did
And I
you?
thought, shit, I
Oh my
can't say
goodness. Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it. But I'm still there. I had veto last round. I didn't use it. I felt like an asshole.
Who were the nominees last round? Oh, that's a great
Barbara
shot.
and Adele.
Oh. So
And
you know about-
I know Barbara.
I know
Wait, like
Adele.
the Adele.
The
The
Adele.
Adele?
The
Hello
Adele.
from the other side.
The
Adele.
Adele.
I wish.
Oh,
Oh, not
the
that
Adele.
Adele.
So
I don't
Missy,
know.
fun
We haven't
fact.
heard her sing. Uh-huh.
Fun fact: in the first ever like Skype org I played, which was Instinct, Dell came second.
Okay, because she's like,
Come
everybody's
back,
like, keep
Ollie. Come
Adele.
back.
Hi, Jen.
Everybody's like, keep Adele. And Barbara's not
Hi,
talking.
Jen.
Hey,
Hi,
Jen.
Jen.
Right.
Hi, Jen, bestie.
Quite worried.
Hi, Sean. Love you too.
I am so excited right now, y'all. I'm geeking out.
Okay, guys, I have the votes. First of all, let's welcome some of our pre-jurors back, Jen and Callum. Hi, guys. Missed you. So, I have the votes, and we have a winner. Obviously, this is the one time you want to see your votes because these are the votes for the winner. Shall I get started? Okay, then. Good luck, final two. First vote, Marcelo. That's one vote, Marcelo. Second vote, Courtney. That's one vote, Marcelo. One vote, Courtney. Third vote, Marcelo. That's two votes, Marcelo. One vote, Courtney. Fourth vote, Courtney. That's two votes, Courtney, and two votes, Marcelo. 5 votes left. Fifth vote, Marcelo. That is 3 votes for Marcelo, 2 votes for Courtney, 4 votes left. Sixth vote, Marcelo. That is 4 votes Marcelo, 2 votes Courtney, 3 votes left. Seventh vote, Courtney. That is 3 votes for Courtney, 4 votes for Marcelo, 2 votes left. Eighth vote, Courtney. We are tied. 4 votes for Courtney, 4 votes for Marcelo, 1 vote remaining. Our 9th and final vote, and the winner of Triumph Guyana and Triumph's first ever winner. Congratulations to Courtney. You are the winner of Triumph Guyana.
Congrats, Courtney.
Well done, hon.
Congrats.
I'm very surprised.
Congrats, Courtney.
Good job, Marcelo.
Thank you so much.
Well done to both of you. But Courtney, I have to ask, how are you feeling right now?
I'm shocked. There was I'm so excited though. Oh my gosh. I did tell you that I would do my best to win your award. So I'm glad I made you happy, hopefully.
Yes, I'm trying not to cry. Fun fact for everyone, Courtney was the first person outside production that was aware of Triumph. And I pushed for her to, unwillingly, I said, Courtney, you're applying. So needless to say, I'm very proud of my bestie. But Marcelo, you played an amazing game. Like, I think everyone needs to give you a round of applause. Second place, though, it is still an amazing achievement. How are you feeling?
So happy. I knew it was going to be a win-win either way. I'm just so grateful to have played with all of you, and I'm so happy to have made it to a final tribal council. And from someone who thought they were going to get second boot, like, even though we didn't go to tribal, but like, I just thought I'm just very thankful to be here, and I'm so happy for Courtney. So congratulations, Courtney.
Okay. Well, do you guys want to know who voted where, or? you want to have a bit of a reunion?
We do both.
Sure. Yeah, let's
I
do
was
both.
just
Do
gonna
you want to
say,
do
oh my
both?
God,
Let's go with
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, let's do
Missy, you
both.
read my mind.
Y'all know
It's
who I
fine.
voted.
So, Logan voted for Courtney. Sean R voted for Marcelo. Jeremy voted for Courtney. Mike voted for Courtney. Lamar voted for Courtney. Missy, strangely enough, voted for Marcelo. I was very shocked about it.
It's earth moving.
Edmo voted for Courtney. Sean voted for Marcelo. And Rocky voted for Marcelo. So let's get into a bit of a reunion. Missy, how are you feeling about everything? You are smiling away. How are you feeling about everything so far? How was the game for you?
So, I was really nervous about doing a Skype game. I'd never done it. I got so emotionally attached to people. It's been amazing. This whole thing has been a blast. I got to know everybody, or for the most part. And I'm proud of both people at the end. Obviously it didn't go in the direction of the person I voted for, but this has been great. Y'all should both be really proud of yourselves. And I'm having a fucking good time. So,
Glad to hear it. Sean D, same question. And actually, let's give Sean D some major props because this is his highest placement ever. There. Oh my God, I'm failing at my life. It is there. I'm right. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let us give Sean D some props because it is their, they them pronouns, highest placement ever in a Survivor org. Sean,
Hold on,
how
Sean.
does that feel?
Like Missy said, I got lucky this game. I think I really did get lucky. Huge props to Marcella. Marcella is the reason why I'm made it to the final four. That's why I voted for Marcella. Marcella's the bestie. I'm more biased towards Marcella, but I still voted based on gameplay. Marcella was still there for me, but I'm feeling happy, content. I've been content since the final five. This whole game I've said I want minorities in the end. I want the females and the POCs in the end. That's what happened. So I'm happy about it. And yeah, you guys should be proud of yourself, especially Marcelo. I know you wanted that win, but you won in my heart. So there. How about that?
Let's talk to some of our pre-jurors. Jen. Hi, my love. How are you doing first off?
I'm doing good. I'm at the airport, so.
Well, we hope that your situation earlier has all been resolved and Triumph are sending you all the love in the world. Were you keeping up with the season?
I was, and sorry if it's loud, but I was obviously rooting for my bestie, Sean. I actually haven't even gotten the pleasure to meet Courtney at all because we were never on the same tribe, but congrats. And I love Marcelo too. So it was fun to watch this game and to watch it all progress, even though I left super early.
It's okay. There's always second chances. Mike,
Yeah.
I want to come to you because you were our, no shade, oldest contestant this season. And I think you repped it for the older generation that do orgs. I think you did an amazing job and showed them all how it was done.
Thanks.
What was your
physical, but
well, this is the thing. You did win 2, if I'm correct, 2 individual immunities.
I did.
I think that all deserves a very big clap. So how are you feeling about your game? Obviously, you were blindsided at a final 8, but I still think you played an amazing game.
I think it was good. I mean, obviously, I pride myself more in my social game, and I do try to talk to everybody, and I do try to form those connections. And yeah, I am old, but my job keeps me young because I work with 10 and 11-year-olds. So I'm up on all the hip shit that's happening. And I don't act my age 100%, so that helps too. But no, it was a fun game. Congrats, Court. Congrats, Marcelo, for getting to the finals. And glad an OG Kalina won.
Wow.
Not Kalina, no.
I'm going to hop back on because before we end this reunion and final tribal council, we've got some awards. You didn't think I was going to leave. The reason I was still in is because we were just confirming one award. So, are we ready to get to some awards? So, we're going to start off with the physical player of the season. Production thought long and hard about this, but we're actually going to give this award to Lamar. Congratulations, Lamar, whilst you sit there eating your popcorn. Next up, we have our social player. Production have decided to give this one to Courtney. Well done, Courtney. Our strategic player. Who made the best moves? Who was the most strategic? Marcelo was. Congrats, Marcelo. Next up is the best alliance. That was Dash M, which was Missy, Lamar, Marcelo, Rocky, and Sean. I don't know how it says it. Okay, I don't know what the dash is. That's what I'm saying. But can we just say
slash me?
It was slash
Okay,
me.
forward slash me.
Forward slash me.
I so pay attention. But can we just say a close second for me personally was Courtney, Ed, and Mike. Right, next, most robbed pre-juror. We gave this award, unfortunately, to neither of the two that have joined us, but it was given to Sam.
Cheers, Ali.
Love you both. This
I'm
was
about to tell
production.
him.
Sorry,
you won
Sam.
an award.
Too, isn't it,
I'm
mate?
so
I'm about to write
sorry.
him. I'm about to be like, you won an award and you didn't show up.
Hashtag Sam was pushed. Anyway, next up, most robbed juror. Our most robbed juror in production's eyes was our lovely Rocky. We love you.
Thanks.
Next up, best confessionalist. There was a few people. There was some very funny confessionals, but there was one person in particular who just, yeah, it was always the funny one with theirs. And that is Sean D. So congratulations, Sean
I am
D.
shocked.
Welcome to my therapy session.
Sean Dyro's therapy sessions were the piece de resistance.
I just want to say my personal runner-up for best confessionals is "What's the Tea with Marcelo G?" Because that's my favorite thing to say ever.
Marcelo, please turn that into a podcast because that name is genius.
I'm never gonna win that. My confessionals were boring as shit. I didn't have tea.
Every time Megan would get on a live confessional,
I can guest on it.
Yes, every time I got on a live confessional with Megan, she was like, "Everyone, welcome to the newest episode of What's the Tea with Marcelo G. This is episode 7." I'm like, thank you.
I used to do confessionals in one word where every single confessional I started with a captain's log. Like all of them were captain's logs.
Well, guys, just to let you know, season 2 of Triumph, we will be having an after show called "What's the Tea with Marcelo G."
Oh my God, yes! Oh my God, I'll do exit interviews, TYS.
Please
Right.
just do that. Marcelo does exit interviews. Like he got second place. He deserves that.
He does.
Marcelo, could you do,
Right,
like,
shall we
ex-Rob
continue?
Painters? Sorry.
Shall we continue with biggest underdog? Because we got a little sidetracked. When we looked at this award, it was no question in our mind who the biggest underdog was. And that was Sean D. Started from the bottom, almost getting 16th place and getting to final four. If that is not an underdog story.
I just want to say I straight up predicted that Sean would get 18th. I thought Sean would get first boot.
She did.
Sean's one of my Sean's probably the closest person in this game on this cast to me besides my literal boyfriend. And I thought Sean was gonna get first boot, and Sean was spectacular the entire time. Sean, you were so fun to watch. You were fun in your confessionals. You were like supposed to be dead like 7 times, and then you didn't die. And then you finally died by the hand of like your number 1 ally. And it was just like, it was brilliant. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It was a great storyline. Thank you. That's
It
my
was.
award.
Thank you.
I just sat through like a whole novella in like 30 seconds, y'all.
Right. Should we get on to the main 3? The ones that everyone was wondering who's going to get what. Let's start off with our hero of the season. Do you want to know who the nominees were?
Yes.
We had 3. We had Rocky, we had Missy, and we had Lamar. But our hero of the season was Rocky. Congratulations, Rocky.
Yes.
I'm a hero.
Yes,
Yes.
I promise you are, Rocky. Yes. Yes.
Now
Well,
we
thank you.
come up to our villain of the season. There were a couple nominees, but there was one person in particular, just because of how their gameplay was and how they were willing to vote off their best friends. Villain of the season was Marcelo. You scared
Yes,
it.
fact.
Yes,
Hashtag fact.
Marcelo.
You're a
Yeah.
messy fucker, Marcelo, but we love you.
We
Me
definitely
too.
play 2 different games, Marcelo.
Hero and villain.
And
I
now
love
we
it.
come to the main one. Player of the season. This is who production felt played one of the, if not the best game in the season. And needless to say, production were infatuated by this person's game from start to finish. Watching them play and seeing how amazing not just their social game, but their strategic game was. It was production were loving this person from start to finish. And needless to say, when they left, we were all very, very upset. But our player of the season was Missy. Well done,
Yay.
Missy.
Yes,
I was upset
Missy.
too, but yay, thank you so much.
Well, Missy, at least you didn't get like 30th.
Do what?
At least you didn't get 30th, social season 30th.
Like, yeah. I still love you, Callum.
But
Yay,
Missy,
I won something. I never win anything.
Missy, you are our player of the season. How does that feel?
I'm so flattered. I've loved again, most of every minute of this game.
Wait, Missy, you don't win anything. I thought you won something last night.
That was a mini. You're right. It counts. I do.
That's
I did
it.
win a
Okay,
mini.
just saying, you do win.
Yay! No, yay, thank you. That makes me feel so loved. And like I have loved every moment of this. I have loved everybody in it except for the people I didn't meet. That was not my fault. But yay, thank you.
Right. We have come to the end of Triumph Guyana. It has been, needless to say, a roller coaster ride. And I want to give the final words to our winner, Courtney. Courtney, if there's anything you want to say to finish off this season, the floor is yours.
Oliver's final move of bullying me. Putting me on the damn spot.
He loves you though.
I'm sorry?
I said he loves you though.
He does, and I love him too. Gosh, I don't know. I don't know what to say that is going to be not stupid. I think that this was an awesome experience. I'm so happy that I got to meet so many of you and play it with you. I really think that production, not only did they put together a really great org for its first season, but they also, ran into a lot of things that not all production teams are as, unfortunate as to have to handle. They had bumps and bruises, things to navigate around, and still manage to make this a really meaningful and fun experience for me. And I think that that can be said for all of us. And it was a great season, and I really appreciate that I get to represent it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Courtney. And thank you, everyone. This first season would not have been as iconic as it was if it was not for you guys. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So thank you guys for making this season the most iconic first season that production could ever ask for. Thank you to all the viewers that have been keeping up on Facebook, been watching the videos, to the amazing VL. Thank you guys for supporting. And hopefully we will see you guys in season 2. But for now, we say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Well, I'm not leaving just yet unless Ollie kicks us out. But
I mean, I've got us finished.